So people ask me all the time, like, what are my thoughts on changes like this to the game? And I did the same thing in season two. Honestly, my initial response to all of this is I'm just confused. And I think a lot of people probably are in that boat. But now that I look back at season two, it really wasn't as confusing as I initially thought. The only thing that confused me is like, what the breakpoints of where you get the certain tracks of gear start and end, and I still don't really understand that, but like 3 out of the 4 of them you just ignore pretty much, based, because it's all based on the difficulty of the content. Like if you're the top raiding guild in the world, you don't really care about like anything lower than Mythic for a very long time. So let's take a look at this article. I'm going to read all this and then I'll give you my thoughts on it regardless. So in this week's PTR build, we believe we've discovered the mechanism by which players will be able to trade up lower tier crests into higher level versions using new consumables containing 15 worms, all these things for upgrading gears. So yes, this got brought up on the stream yesterday. Yeah, they're apparently going to allow you to not only so one of the big changes is if you're already capped at the high end, then the lower end starts dropping. But they're going to do the opposite too, I guess. If you have so many of the lower ones, you can then turn them into the higher ones. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you should not want to do this. And like I just said, if you're like somehow unable to do whatever the highest level that drops the highest level is, it's confusing, but you know what I mean? Like the aspect stuff drops probably from 16, maybe 18. I don't really know. You really don't like. I'm just trying to point out that you should be trying to do the hardest content that you can. It's not that hard. So I've already heard a bunch of people like, "Oh, good, I'm gonna farm tens the first week." It's like that's just such a bad idea because then you have gear from tens. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't really like the reason I'm saying this is because in season one, this is what everybody did. They just farmed the lowest key possible to get Valor. And I think that completely, like, that's such a bad thing for the game. That's such a bad thing for the game. It confuses the people at that level because then they think like all keys are going to be, with players who are way over geared for it. And then they actually get to harder content and now they're getting, their ass kicked all of a sudden. And it creates like this weird thing where like good players just don't do like medium level content at all. Like they just never enter it. And I'd love to see that solved, but it's probably not going to be solvable. All I'm saying is socially, just think about why and when you should do these things. Alongside several other changes to the upgrade system, which they have, I guess, another post about. This is the article we're about to read. So Blizzard already confirmed that players will be able to trade crests up into higher tier versions in 10.2 with the minimum item level requirement for each bracket. Essentially the point at which the previous crest would no longer be useful. However, we don't know yet what the other restrictions may be or the exact conversion price from one tier to the next. That said, being able to trade up at all is still a great change that allows lower tier activities to still be rewarding and contribute to reducing the amount of higher end activities that players need to farm. It's true. So let's read the blue post here. So there's major changes to the whole upgrade system, one way or the other. Hero upgrade track increased to 6, was 5. So that means that there's 6 item level requirements to get it to max, right? Mythic upgrade track is up to 4. That was up from 3. And that is because they're making the highest item level gear now from all content. Whereas in this season, season 2, the highest item level gear is exclusively from the last bosses of the raid. That's it. You cannot get it from Mythic Plus. I don't know about PvP, but you cannot get it from Mythic Plus. It's not possible. And that's completely bogus, if you ask me. I have no idea why they ever thought that was a good idea. But now they seem to be doing it like the real way, the proper way. And it makes me wonder why they didn't do it that way in the past. There must be a reason. I can't really figure it out right now. Anyway, crests are now a currency and will no longer take up inventory space. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't actually like that change. I'm sure like 99% of people would say they want it to be a currency, but there's too many currencies in the game as it is. I like it better when it's in the bag and then it's just deleted, right? Because now it's a currency again and you're going to have 4 of these. So there's going to be 4 tabs. You might want to track all 4 of them. That's not possible. I don't know if there's add-ons out there that will help track this better, but you can only have so many things tracked on your bag or whatever from currencies, unless maybe they change that. But yeah, I do not like having currencies that are like super valuable currencies. I would rather it be an item just like it was in like TBC in the early days, a badge actually drops from the boss. That is valuable to me. I like that a lot because you see that at the end of a dungeon. And this is all wrapping into one conversation that I'm about to have. But you know what? I like getting things at the ends of dungeons. I don't know about you guys, but I like seeing something in the vault or in the little box there, you know? So fragments have been removed entirely now. So it's just going to be flat out crests that drop. Crests can now be traded up for higher level crests once reaching the lower level crest item level or higher. So presumably, well, they're about to explain it. For example, Season 2 item level numbers. Players would become eligible to trade their Whelpling Crest up to Drake Crest when every gear slot has reached item level 411 or higher. Trading up to Worm Crest would become available again at 424 in every gear slot, using the same rules as Crest redundancy. And trading up to Aspect Crest would open at 437. So immediately, if that works the way it does, that's super easy. Like you're gonna get like 437. Even my new Death Knight has that now, you know? So it's interesting because as it works right now, you get a bunch of stuff that you don't even really want. Like out in world content, if you're just farming transmog or stuff like that, it gives you these smaller crests or whatever, you know? So if that continues, it makes me wonder what the reality of trading them up multiple tiers will be. Maybe that's not even possible, but I assume it will be. And it seems like it looks like you do just each bag contains 15 crests, which under the new system is enough for one upgrade. So I don't I don't understand what I'm reading. I really don't. I don't know if that means like how many do you have to trade up? Is it 1-to-1 at a certain level? Is that what's happening here? Maybe they continue to explain it, but doesn't look like it. Another interesting discovery along the same line is the second version of the Satchel of Drake's Dreaming Crest, in addition to the stipulation that these crests ignore the seasonal cap. And this is awarded from Stones Can't Fly achievement, which is insanely easy to get. You'll get that no matter what. It is only limited to this one instance of the Drake Crest. Its ability to exceed the cap this way may not present a major advantage. And provided the cap stays the same as it does in Season 2, it just doesn't matter. Like, people were talking about it on stream, like, who even cares about the cap? Well, you care about it in the first few months, like the first 3-4 weeks especially, you know what I mean? It was a big, big, big part of the season. And then it kind of just becomes nothing. Like, nobody cares about it again. You can't possibly, like, I've been doing gear on that character or Mythic Plus on that character for weeks now, and I still have not been able to upgrade any gear. Not a single piece I've upgraded because I have to put all my things into crafting gear, which is just objectively better. So it's like, you know what system was in the game? You know there was a system in the game, right? And yeah, I think it worked pretty well. Titan forging. I think it worked pretty well. I don't know why they removed it. Oh, I know why they removed it, because everybody told them they didn't want it. And so now we're getting this, like, years of effort are going into fixing the void that has been removed from Titan Forging. It is actual, like, I cannot believe this is happening. You had the perfect system, a system where lots of gear would drop from Mythic Plus, but it would be really low item level gear compared to the difficulty of the content, but it had a chance to be really good item level gear. And it rewarded people for finishing dungeons. It rewarded people for doing like a lot of keys. Like the more you did certain keys, the more chances obviously you'd have at the Titan Forge. And it allowed you to get extremely powerful items late into the season. The season doesn't end 8 weeks into it because you're fully geared. So now they're changing how the gear works. They're changing how long it's going to take to upgrade it all. They're changing how many pieces of the track it has. They're allowing you to do all these different things. It worked fine as it was. I mean, this is insane to me. Like, it really is crazy. They put so many band-aids on this one problem just because people cannot deal with RNG in a video game. I mean, what world are you living in that RNG isn't in everything? It's literally in every part of every game. Titan Forging was the perfect issue. Like, you could have just kept it in Mythic Plus. It could have removed it from every other piece of content, would have been fine. It's the perfect gearing system for 5-mans. It really is. And I can't, like, this whole thing, this doesn't make any difference. It really doesn't. You're eventually going to get to the cap of gear, and then there's not going to be a single upgrade in the gear again. Now, the only difference is, will they allow the actual gear that drops from Mythic Plus to go onto the Mythic track? I don't know that. Does anybody know that yet? I don't know. That is the one true question. And that is the thing I would like to see solved, because right now it's not like, it's just sucks. The vault being the only actual source of the best gear is so unfun to me. I have to say, like, Mythic Plus looting has never been worse, but gearing has never been easier, and it's because of crafting. So do they want crafting to still be the best way to gear? Personally, I don't necessarily dislike that, but it's heavy on the gold. Like, I had to buy a WoW token just to get the second character going, because I would be out of gold by now. But it's good. Like, if you actually put both of them together, the system works really, really well, because it requires the Mythic Plus content to make the crafted gear. So, counterpoint to the whole Titan forging thing, it's just more determinate Titan forging, right? This is kind of just a better Titan forging version, because instead of randomness, every few dungeons, you know that this plus a bunch of gold gets you a guaranteed best in slot piece. So that's what everybody wants, usually, and I'm fine with it. But it means that the actual loot that comes from Mythic Plus is just trash. Like, it's right? It's just useless. There's no point to getting it. It doesn't help you. It's garbage gear that cannot be upgraded into a best in slot piece, no matter what. So they need to find a solution to that, but I don't know if they're going to or even want to. And that is my rant, man. I really can't believe how many, like, just band-aids. Like, they just had to keep slapping band-aids on this problem. This started in Shadowlands, right? Because they removed Titan Forging at the end of BFA, and then they kind of had like a season where it didn't really matter anyway because of corruption. Corruption was kind of like a side of Titan Forging. And then it's all gone. So the beginning of Shadowlands, Mythic Plus gear is just fucking awful. Like, you get no gear. You remember how they reduced the amount of gear you get from it at the start of Shadowlands? You get no gear whatsoever. So then the best gear in the game is just from PvP now. And then they're like, well, we can't have that. I made a video on that back then too, and people still had the same opinions that I'm sure people are going to have now on this. But it's just crazy to me that they had to do all of these hoops. They had to jump through all of these hoops, and it's getting good. Like I said, this plus crafting is really solid. Gearing has never been faster, but that's not a good thing. I don't really want that to be the case. I really don't. I liked it better when, and then the problem here is, like, the raid gear just remains more powerful than Mythic Plus gear. I don't think that's healthy for the game, but I just wish that there was a way that you could continue to get benefit from doing Mythic Plus keys to completion for the entire season. Obviously, it should be related to the scoring and the affix system, like, without question, but they don't seem to have any interest in doing that. Maybe in 11.0, we'll finally get something to encourage people to stop leaving keys that are easily finished, even if they're not in time. But it's just not, gear is just not it right now, not even remotely, especially after like more than a month. Nobody really cares. So, and that's really unfortunate, because I've gone the entire season, not like I played it a lot recently, but I've gone the entire season on my Death Knight without the trinkets I wanted. So, you know what I mean? It's just not, I don't know. Gear in Mythic Plus has a lot to be desired, but all of these band-aids on top of it make it actually really good. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are on this. In terms of the actual season 3 changes, uh, the only thing that matters to me is whether or not we can actually get 447 equivalent from actual end of dungeon completion. And if not, I literally don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me whatsoever, because the best gear is just going to come from somewhere else. And if it's from raid, I won't be getting it. And if it's from crafting, I'm going to have to spend a bunch of money to get it. So let me know what you guys think. Otherwise, we will see you guys in the next one. Tomorrow, we're going to be on the PTR. Hopefully everything will be stable. We'll be testing the Mythic Plus dungeons, and probably Friday as well. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys there.